please. Good day. Trey Gibson here. Draft recap. Big Things Fantasy Football League. I'm bringing it to you live from the Big Things studio. The original version did go out, was sent too long, so we had to redo it again. It is on the Big Things studio website. You can go see it. However, we're not going to go through the whole draft because of time constraints. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about a few of the productive rounds, teams that made strides to distinguish themselves from their competitors, teams that did not do anything in the draft that will lose money in the Big Things Fantasy Football League this year. I'm Trey Gibson. I'm your host of the Big Things Fantasy Football League Draft Recap, coming right now. Okay, since we're here, let's just think for a minute about what happened Tuesday night. We had our third annual selection meeting that was held via internet. And we're going to talk about some teams and what they did and how they did it, who had the best draft, I felt, who had the worst draft, and once again, who didn't do anything at all. So draft recap, let's go to rounds 1 and 2. Round 1 went exactly like it was supposed to go, just like you thought it would have went. LaDainian Tomlinson, Adrian Peterson, Tom Brady, Brian Westbrook. All of those picks were pretty much in a nutshell. Peyton Manning went. He was supposed to go. Who wasn't supposed to go in round 1? Marion Barber is not a first-round draft pick. Evil assholes made a huge mistake by picking Marion Barber, somebody they could have gotten in the 3rd round and the 1st round. That's a waste of a pick. Round 2. Okay, Clinton Portis. Is he a 2nd-round pick? I don't know. I cashed in on him late. Ended up bearing some good fruit. Reggie Wayne, definitely good 2nd-round pick. Larry Johnson, I don't think he's a 2nd-round pick. Hasn't proven himself in 3 years. Let me see. Let's move down to, as a matter of fact, let's skip forward to about round 5. Let's go to 5, and we're talking keeper selections here. Everything between the first 2 rounds seem to be right in stride. So we're going to talk whom you could have selected as a keeper pick. Some notables. Team Gibsonian with the first keeper selection. Devin Hester. That's a great keeper pick. A pick that should not have been made in round 5. Probably shouldn't have been made until 11 and 12. Maybe even 14. Harlem Giants selected defense, New York Giants. Why? Why in this round would you select that team? I don't know. Maybe you know something that we don't know, but I'm sure that was a mistake. Let's go into 6. Tony Gonzalez was picked in the 6th round. That could be a keeper selection, but once again, Tony Gonzalez is 50 years old. Marvin Harrison was selected in the 6th round. That could be a keeper selection. So that's a good pick. Let's move forward on to round 11 and talk about what I feel was a steal in the 11th round. Kurt Warner. Depending upon who is the starting quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals will determine which receiver will bear the majority of the receptions. If it's Warner, Bolden will have a great year. If it's Leinart, Fitzgerald will have a great year. So if you have any of those 2 receivers, from experience, the quarterback is going to play a huge part. One's a lefty, one's a righty. That's the difference. So let's talk about round 12. Let's go to 12 and see who else was selected. Why anyone would select the Jets defense is beyond me. Connecticut Legends, can you just give me one reason why you would select the Jets defense? Anyone. Can anyone give me one reason? I don't think so. That is a horrible pick. A horrible pick. Okay, moving forward. And we're going to talk about in these rounds, the 13th round, you can't lose in these picks. We had Lamar Jordan go to roughing the passer. You can't lose in Lamar Jordan, but New England's running backs had the most dispersed amount of carries in the NFL. meaning they used the most running backs and they split the most carries. That is truly a running back by committee. I know I watch him every single week. So by selecting Lamont Jordan, you better hope there's a lot of injuries in the backfield. Chicago Dream Killer selected David Patton. David Patton had more receptions, more yards, and more touchdowns in the second half of last year than any wide receiver, to include Randy Moss. Okay, so that's a great pick, great value at that point in time. Now let's take a look at a few of the teams, and as a matter of fact, let's go to a few of the teams and just talk. First, let's go to Connecticut and let's look at the Hartford Hustlers and see what they did and see if this is what you want to do to get you to the next level. See if this is what you want to do to get you from the preliminary rounds in the playoffs to the division final to the Super Bowl. Since we're talking playoffs here, let's just see if this is the difference that's made. Let's see if this is what you're talking about. This is what you want. You guys get the point. Derek Anderson, Marshawn Lynch, Darren McFadden, Matt Forte, Randy Moss, great wide receiver. You can't lose with him, hopefully. Anquan Bolden goes back to what I said about who's the quarterback. Jason Witten, good tight end. Vikings defense, great defense. Steven Gostkowski kicks in a lot of elements. Still hadn't proven himself as a kicker. Ted Ginn Jr., wide receiver, punt returner, kick returner, maximizing there. Nate Burleson, same thing, maximizing there. Deuce McAllister, I think his career is on the downslide. Ronald Curry, I don't know. Jamarcus Russell, why? So if you're asking me about how the Hustlers did, I think they put themselves this year in the same exact predicament that they did last year. They're pretty much the same team. Didn't get better, didn't get worse. Let's go, let's talk about the Riders. When you're dealing with West Coast Riders, you know, there's a few competitive California teams out there, and these teams have actually been beaten up on the rest of the league for the last 2 years. So when you deal with the West Coast Riders, who actually was picked to win it all last year, and you throw everything back in the mix, his bread and butter last year was the Bears defense. He selected the Bears defense again. I would not have selected the Bears defense because that defense is not as good. I will be thoroughly surprised if the Bears win 8 games. And that is the truth. And when they do win those 8 games, it won't be by defense. That defense will get blown out a lot with a new league change as far as defense. That defense is not going to produce 40, 50, 60 points like he had gotten. I know why he selected the defense, specifically because of Devin Hester, and that's why I selected Devin Hester and didn't select the defense, because I have brains enough to know. Michael Turner hasn't proven himself as a starting running back in the NFL, so why you'd select him, I don't know. Steven Jackson missed all of training camp. Money issues. Though he's back, is he really back? Only time will tell. Eli Manning took the turn last year. We'll see. We'll see how he reacts to the blitz this year. So we'll see if that will bear some fruit. Larry Johnson hasn't had his offensive line, just like I said earlier, for the last 2 years. So I don't think LJ's as good as he once was. Careers, he's the same, but he doesn't have as many important parts around him as he once did. He just has bodies around him. And those bodies are pretty much just in the way. Now, why you'd select Chad Pennington, I don't know. So this year will not be an 11-1 year or a 10-2 year that the Riders had last year. They will not beat up on the league like they did a year ago. So with that, let's move to whom I feel came in on draft day, paid money. Well, let's back off the paid money bit. But came in on draft day and I feel distinguished himself far and beyond, far and above and beyond his competition. I must say, congratulations, hats off, and just like I said, you get what you deserve. Christian S. from the coach, general manager, owner of the Illegal Aliens. Falls a little short in the quarterback slot, but Matt Schaub isn't a bad quarterback. He's a safe quarterback. LaDainian Tomlinson, enough said. Thomas Jones, I had high on my draft board because he has 4 first-round draft picks on the offensive line. Though he only had 1 touchdown last year, he still had 1,300 yards rushing. I actually picked Thomas Jones this year to scoot out about 12 to 15 touchdowns, and I think that can happen. So that's a great pick. Ernest Graham, he's on a team that doesn't have a proven quarterback, a team that doesn't have a proven wide receiver core, so he's going to see a lot of touches. They do have a couple of other running backs, but Ernest Graham is the keynote speaker there. So you can't lose with those running backs. Matt Schaub, Larry Fitzgerald goes back to what I said about who's going to be the quarterback. Owen Daniels is a great tight end. I like his ability. Big bodied, catches the ball in the middle, not afraid to get pounded. The Seattle Seahawks defense, great defense to have at home in Seattle. That defense does not lose. They actually get less yards on them at home compared to any other defense because that stadium is so loud. So that's a great pick. Phil Dawson, who cares? He's a kicker. Greg Jennings, wide receiver, Green Bay. Big playability, still a great wide receiver. Roy Williams, great wide receiver. Ricky Williams, great running back. Where you're going to play him, I don't know. But with all those running backs, we're going to see. This is going to be a great year. I expect to see a lot of things with the Illegal Aliens. Kurt Warner is a quarterback. Sidney Rice, not needed. Kevin Walter, not needed. But I see what he's trying to do. He's trying to double up on points with his wide receivers and with his quarterbacks. So hats off to the Illegal Aliens. Got exactly who he wanted from, exactly what you want from the running back position. Got wide receivers that he can actually double dip off points with quarterbacks. A great defense and a good tight end. That is the best draft this year, 2009 Big Things Fantasy Football League. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Trey Gibson. Cue the music up, Maestro. We're out of here. We're going to see how the season goes. Kickoff next week. We'll have the previews. We'll have the post games. Trey Gibson, Big Things Fantasy Football League. This has been your Fantasy Football League Draft Recap.